Thank you guys for holding this forum. This is a great event, lots of different perspectives here in the room. As Wayne mentioned, I am the chairman of the Yes On To More Green Now campaign to reduce Maine's auto excise taxes. The excise tax in Maine is probably one of the most hated taxes in the state. You can walk up and down any main street and ask any Mainer and they'll probably tell you that. And there's a reason for that. Maine's excise tax is the 7th highest excise tax in the nation, and 22 other states have no excise tax at all. That's why we brought this initiative forward, and that's why we have a simple message. Vote yes, pay less. Reducing the vehicle excise tax by approximately half will create $80 million in tax relief for Maine families. That translates to an average savings for a Maine family of about $800 over the first 5 years you own your vehicle. This tax is a regressive tax. It's particularly burdensome on Maine's low and fixed income residents. As the Maine Center for Economic Policy noted in their January 09 report, this is, as I said, a regressive tax because these low and fixed income Mainers are struggling as it is to make ends meet. They're struggling to raise their families, they're struggling to put food on the table, and they're struggling to save to retire in comfort and dignity. Reducing Maine's vehicle excise tax will improve the financial security of Mainers across the state. We need to provide this relief for Maine families, particularly now more than ever. Mainers across the state are having to do more with a whole lot less. They're having to tighten their belts, and providing excise tax relief for those Mainers will be a much-needed boost to their family budgets. But I also look forward to seeing Question 2 pass because of what it'll do to help Maine's struggling auto industry. Simple economics here. We're all business-minded folks in the room. When something costs less, people will buy more of it. If you reduce the cost of purchasing a car, we will see auto sales increase. And we have examples of that from all over the world. You know, when China reduced their car taxes, they saw a 25% increase in auto sales. And similar results in India, when they reduced their car taxes, 12.2% increase in sales. And even right here in America, we can see from the Cash for Clunkers program, while it may not have been the best managed program, we do see that reducing the cost of purchasing a vehicle increases car sales. In fact, the Federal Department of Transportation notes that the Cash for Clunkers program actually led to a 700,000 vehicle increase in auto sales. We have an opportunity to not only put money back in Mainers' pockets, but to boost Maine's struggling auto industry and put out-of-work Mainers back into jobs across the state and dealerships across the state. Again, Question 2, vote yes, pay less. This is a question that will make a difference, and I'm happy to be here and continue on with this forum. Thank you.
Thank you. From the city standpoint, we're faced with what Jeff had said. Can you all hear me? Because I don't. Okay, good. We're faced with either cutting taxes or and cutting services, or we're faced with increasing the taxes. I'm sorry. When we provide property tax relief for people that own property in the city, we try to provide it on an equal basis to everybody. We see this, or at least I see this bill, as only giving the benefit to a few individuals. And if the city is going to incur a $500,000 loss in revenue, then we're looking at about $1 million increase or more for the city of Old Town. And this is a city that has seen huge dislocation in terms of its economic status. We lost about $100 million in property value back in 2006, and we cut our budget $1.2 million. And that's huge in terms of dollars for a community. We work with the schools and we work with the city staff and departments to try to figure out what do we eliminate, what do we cut down on. The last 2 years, we've had a steady mill rate. We did a revaluation, and the mill rate went from $24.90 down to $16.20 or so. It's now at $17.40, I believe. And for 2 years, it's been at $17.40. However, the people in the city have seen an increase to their taxes because their properties have increased in the value. So we're still dealing with the unrest. So I certainly understand Chris's point about people not liking taxes. I pay taxes too, and I don't like it. However, if what we're going to do is give a benefit, we need to give that benefit to everybody, not just a few select individuals that can afford a new vehicle. The city of Old Town has 74 miles of road to maintain, along with 20,000 linear feet of stormwater lines, 467 stormwater catch basins, And under state statute and federal rules, under the MS4, which is the stormwater rules, we have to maintain these. And the rules that are coming down from EPA is going to get more and more and more in terms of stormwater and stormwater management. And it's all related to roads and the impervious surfaces. If what we do is see a reduction in services, we're going to be looking hard at those impervious surfaces and what we do to maintain those and keep them up. The current public works budget in Old Town is $1,550,250. We maintain a fleet of vehicles and equipment that's valued at $2.3 million approximately. And we fund the depreciation so that it's flat funded, so that the taxpayers don't see a huge jump when we buy a new vehicle. It's all about $145,000 a year we put into retirement of vehicles. The services that we provide for public works is roads, which is summer and winter maintenance, your plowing, your pothole maintenance, your sweeping. We also do road and sidewalk and construction and repairs, the right-of-way maintenance, brush, mowing, signage, culverts, street sweeping, leaf cleanup, spring cleanup, stormwater management. We have 5 cemeteries, 7 parks, 15 city buildings, and we also have an indoor swimming pool that we maintain. So from the aspect of the City of Old Town, we will be looking, and we currently are looking at, through our budget, total restructure of the city, because we have several people that are about to retire. And this opportunity to explain some of this to the City Council and the citizens is we're looking at what services are we providing, what services can we do away with in order to maintain a low mill rate and keep the services going. And that's what you're faced with this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you all today. It's great to be back in the Twin Cities. I grew up in Bangor. I had the opportunity to serve the people of Bangor for 4 years in the Maine legislature in the late 1990s, and it's great to be back in the area and see many friendly faces. For me, question 2 is about one thing: providing Mainers with the long-promised local tax relief. The legislature has sent hundreds of millions of dollars more to local governments with a promise that some of that money would trickle down to the local property taxpayer. But it hasn't. The auto excise tax, as Chris mentioned, is in Maine the 7th highest auto excise tax in the country. 43 other states pay a lower rate of auto excise tax. In fact, 22 states don't tax cars with an excise tax at all. Question 2 keeps the promise of tax relief for Maine families and would make it more affordable for Mainers to buy newer, cleaner, greener cars. As Chris mentioned, and as you can see on the card on your table, on the back side you can see what this tax relief would mean for Maine families buying some of the most popular cars purchased in Maine. It's real money, $800 on average on the first 5 years of ownership. This auto excise tax definitely needs to be cut, not only because it's high, but in a rural state like Maine, this punitive tax hurts Maine's families even more than if we were in a state where we all didn't travel so much. Just to remind you of how much extra money local governments have received and still how much their property taxes have gone up, let me remind you of a little bit of history here in Maine. Back in June 2004, the Maine Municipal Association and others spent $1.5 million to run a campaign that said if the state sent hundreds of millions of dollars more to local government, then your property taxes would be cut by 15%. Well, the state lived up to its promise, and many of the legislators here in the room were part of that. Over 4 years, the state sent an additional $278 million, a 25% increase, to local governments in 4 years. Well, what happened on the property tax side? Property taxes still climbed 22%, faster, almost twice as fast as inflation, and faster than our income. That state aid to local governments didn't fund property tax relief, it just funded a spending spree. In fact, if local government spending had been at the rate of inflation, today your property taxes would be $178 million lower. If that increased state aid had simply been passed on to the local property taxpayer as it was promised. Question 2 would provide $80 million in tax relief to Maine families who have seen since the start of this decade their property tax skyrocket 58%. 58%. Again, question 2, vote yes, pay less. Give yourself the long promised tax relief.